all so much for rocking up today. If you haven't watched the old live stream that I did last week, where I started off and did the first couple of paragraphs for this article, then you can go ahead and watch that one. The link is in the description box for you below. Today we're going to finish it off. And in terms of the housekeeping, so first things first is this live stream will be uploaded after the broadcast. YouTube just needs a bit of time to buffer it, but it's usually up like within a couple of hours. So don't worry if you miss out on any components, you can always come back to watch it later. You can download the VCAA 2020 article in the video description, or you can just go to the VCAA website, whichever one works best for you. The other point is that all the annotations that I'll be doing today in my iPad will be uploaded to my How to Write a Killer Language Analysis study guide. So if you wanted access to the entire annotations to compare with your own notes, then you can go ahead and purchase my study guide. Of course, you can always just have a look and see what's available on the live stream and kind of copy that way. But I think what I'll do after this live stream is tomorrow I'm going to go through it myself again and kind of just clean it up, start color coordinating different ideas together so that it's more presentable, in the sense that, you know, you can come to it and kind of see exactly what arguments I'm kind of clumping together with what language techniques, and then how that would then transfer into the A+ essay, which I've also got in my How to Write a Killer Language Analysis guide. So if you wanted to, you know, be really taken through from start to finish, from the analysis and annotations itself through to the essay and how it all kind of comes together, then I definitely think that the study guide would be a good option for you. Throughout this live stream, I will be going through, you know, the different paragraphs inside the article, but after each paragraph, I will also just have a short break where I'll then read the comments that I've got on my live stream here. I'll respond to any of your questions, or, you know, take up some of the ideas and thoughts you've got and add it to my own analysis, so it's a little bit more collaborative and interactive, and then we'll kind of just keep moving on. Last thing I'm going to say for now, second last thing I'm going to say is you can use the super chat function if you wanted me to give you an analysis, like a proper feedback of your analysis. So people were asking me in my last live chat how I do that. If I just show you, wow, that's a fantastic screenshot of me right there. You just go here for super chat. And essentially it's just a small donation, however much you want to. But this way, I'm sort of offering a service where if you wanted something a little bit more tailored, more individualized, and for me to give you my honest feedback about what your sentences look like, then head over to the super chat there. I don't usually make that service available for people, but yeah, I thought I'd just give it a shot. Okay, cool. So, last thing I'm going to say is, before we move into the analysis, I have a special promo for you guys. So if you're watching this particular video and only this video, I have something to give away to you a little bit later on. So keep in tune, stay in touch, all that good stuff. Okay, so hello Angel, hello David, hey Ayub, I'm sorry, butchering names is my specialty. All right, so I'm going to dive straight into it and assume that you guys have already watched my previous video. Let's have a look at this last paragraph here in this first page. So it's not just in farming that these remarkable little workers have helped us out. We all remember last year when the bushwalker went missing, Ooh. The drones flew tirelessly over large areas, including those difficult to access. Their eyes led to the speedy and happy conclusion we reached. So as I talk, feel free to leave down your analysis as well, so that I can, add it into my own. But basically what we've established so far is that this is a guy who... Do we have the author's name? No, we never have the author's name. So I'm going to assume that he is a farmer just because he uses inclusive language and he says we and us whenever he does talk about farmers, and he's at the local council meeting discussing drone intrusion on private property, essentially. So what he's basically done so far in this article is sort of highlight the damages that drones can do to a person's crop and land. And not only that, but the invasion of privacy that can happen as a result of tourists, these people who kind of just have these toy drones that come into their farmland. They lose them in the farmland, lose the drones in the farmland, that is. And as a result, you're just getting these random people in your space. So we also then discussed how, he builds this idea here. He builds this idea in this part, which is, this paragraph here, that is not somebody who's against technology. It's not about the drones itself that he doesn't like. He's all for it. If anything, it's made such a big difference in his life, but more so it's the usage of drones and who's using them that's causing the issue here. So it's not just in farming that these remarkable little workers have helped us out. So this is where I think that remarkable little workers, it adds to that idea of, this is from his perspective. He's saying that he appreciates all that drones do. He gets the advantages and the positives that come from drones. He is not just completely biased and going no to drones and just completely tunnel visioned and shut off from their benefits. He understands that it's there. And by showing us that he understands that and that he's open to that, it makes us a little bit more inclined to trust him and to believe in him because he doesn't seem so one-sided and jaded. Oh, the writer is Warwick Bandel. You're right. That was in the background information here. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for calling that out and for that reminder. Yes, we did talk about this, and we talked about how important it is to read your background information last week. So appreciate it, Phoebe. Okay, we all remember last year, so more inclusive language. I won't touch too much on that now just because we've talked about it last week. Oh man. Oh, sorry guys. Okay. When that bushwalker went missing, the drones flew tirelessly over large areas. I think it's really interesting that he uses the word tirelessly. He's essentially using personification here. Personification, if in case you don't know, is when you give human characteristics or human traits to an object. So if you say the newspaper bled of terror, newspapers can't bleed. That's a human thing or an animal thing, essentially. And in this case, drones flew tirelessly. Drones don't get tired. Drones, they're machines. They're mechanical objects. So by saying that they flew tirelessly, it makes us automatically feel more empathetic towards drones because of that human-like characteristic. And by developing that empathy with drones, it makes us more inclined to see the benefits and share that same value as what the author has in regards to the fact that drones can be a good thing. Okay. Including those, their eyes led to the speedy and happy conclusion we reached. Cool. I think this next bit, their eyes, like that's not so, is that personification? It's not as clearly personified as tirelessly, because I know that for sure drones can't be tired, but I guess drones can have eyes, you know, they might call them eyes. Like the people who create drones might call their little sensors eyes. I'm not sure. But I guess in a way it still is like giving them that humane characteristic. So you could possibly add both of these together and talk about how that's personification. Okay. And I guess just looking back at what this is saying, this paragraph is saying, you know, there was a bushworker that went missing, but luckily these drones saved this person. So they do have something amazing to contribute to this town, to this council. Let me know what you guys think about the analysis so far. Have you got any questions? Guess we're finished with the first paragraph for today. So I'm gonna jump onto the next page. But let me know in the chat if there's anything you wanna know. Okay, not too many comments so far. Good luck on your SAC tomorrow, Christina. This is good timing then, hey? Doing this live stream. Yandy says, you're making me crave boba. Sorry, but not sorry. Justin says, how long should we analyze in an exam or SAC? I think it really just depends on how long your SAC time is. You know, some people get an hour, some people get an hour and a half. So you kind of want to do like a percentage of that. If it's 1 hour, I would spend up to 10 minutes. And then, you know, just depending on how much longer your SAC goes for, I just extend it accordingly. But yeah, I think figure out what's most comfortable for you. You know, some people can write really quickly, but they have to spend a longer time actually thinking through the analysis. Other people are much more proficient at analyzing quickly, but write a lot slower. I think it's better if you're actually the first one, where you take your time to actually analyze things properly and actually have your ideas formulated well, because when that's very clear, then the writing should come very quickly for you as well. Because if you've thought it through and you really get it, then you'll be able to write it well. But I feel like if you're kind of rushing through your analysis and you're not really sure, not super stable, then when it comes to the writing part, it's not necessarily going to be as good of a job either. It's kind of like my think and execute strategy. If you've like come across that on my channel, I teach it. It's just like my unique strategy where I focus a lot about like the thinking component of essay writing. So yeah. Awesome. Let's move on. So let's have a look at this photograph. So we've got a drone and it's carrying a first aid kit. I would love your thoughts and your analyses, like what you guys are thinking. I think it's positioned in a really interesting spot in that, you know, it's straight after him talking about the bushwalker who went missing. So it sort of compounds upon that idea of, yeah, like drones have this amazing benefit of adding value into people's lives, of helping people, getting into spots where maybe a normal person wouldn't be able to, where other machinery wouldn't be able to. So I'd add that. First aid kit. This idea that it's kind of like small and nifty can support in ways that people or other tech cannot. Don't forget to talk about the positioning of it as well. Like, we kind of covered this last week, but since this is a speech, it's not like we know for sure if this slideshow or whatever it is comes on like before or after or during that last paragraph we analyzed. But we can say at the very least that it kind of compounds upon that paragraph. It adds value to it. There's that visual element as well as that auditory element where he's telling us about it and we're kind of seeing it right in front of us. And that's two really powerful things, you know, to have a piece of information be delivered to you via two different senses. You wouldn't necessarily say that in an essay, but it's just food for thought for you to understand sort of the persuasive effect that Warwick is trying to establish here. The medical symbol shows how drones can help people. Yeah, absolutely. So we could say that too. Medical symbol symbolizes help. Drones can arrive fast. I like that. I'm going to add that here. Fast delivery of healthcare. I like that too. Sophie says that it's a sleek design. I love that. So I guess what I'm trying to do is everything in orange is, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you guys couldn't see what I was writing. The orange is basically, I'm trying to like start lumping together the positives of the drone. And then if we see it later on throughout the rest of the article, let's say, then when you come to actually start writing the essay for it, you can just quickly find all the different spots where he talks about the drones in a positive way. That's kind of beyond the scope of what we're talking about today in terms of, you know, how to structure language analysis essays, but I've done so many videos, links in the description box below. I think the ones that would be super helpful for you are how to structure language analysis essays for 2 or more articles. There's a few more. Just have a look at the language analysis playlist. I got you covered. Phoebe says it's viewed from a low angle, making it seem more important and vital. Yes, absolutely. Where should I put that? Low angle. But also that like it's like kind of like superior. You know, that's something that I take from film technique analysis. Like if we're looking up at something, they have significance, just like what you're saying, Phoebe, about it being important and vital. All right, well done, everyone. Doing really well. Okay, let's move on. So the issue is that flying a drone for fun is the latest 21st century fad. The numbers of recreational drone users are mounting each year. Consequently, incidents involving drones are increasing. Drones are out of control, drones lost in trees, drones causing power cuts. Wow, just lots and lots of negative talk about drones now. Let's make that in a different color, shall we? We'll do that in green. So I think there's sort of a shift in what he's saying here. We've spent some time at the start of the article talking about how drones aren't great. Then he went on to say how drones are great in some particular ways. And now he's kind of going back and saying, but here are the problems with drones. And he's building that sense of drone problematicness through this repetition. Drones, 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 drones. And at first, I feel like there's this escalating sense of danger and severity with what drones are capable of. And, at first it's just that they go out of control. And then they get lost in trees. They're not hurting people. But then it's, okay, hang on a minute. It's kind of getting more and more serious. There are power cuts as a result. Then it's like, okay, these drones are actually hitting and hurting people. And then it's like flight paths where you have hundreds of people in a plane and near misses with aircraft. So yeah, there's, as a listener of his speech, I personally feel concerned. I feel worried, a little bit scared. I'd love for you to let me know, how do you guys feel as a result? We talked last week about the T rule, which I've taught on this channel in my video, how to write a language analysis, and also in my study guide. But essentially, you want to put yourself in the person's shoes. So imagine you are part of that small council. You're there listening to him. How would you think? What would you think? How would you feel? How would you react? These are all things that help you develop a more empathetic and realistic, authentic approach to a language analysis, which is, just an essay that you're doing for school. But if you're able to build that kind of more humane connection and use your real life experience and how you would personally react, that's when I think, you can really create and write something amazing and unique. Bubble tea break. Okay. Justin says, if I were a part of the council and I would want to remove the drones since they're a danger to people and the planet. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with your response either, as long as you can back yourself up and say, this is how I would feel as a result of what Warwick has said through quotes X, Y, and Z, let's say, then that's absolutely fine. So I think a lot of people, when it comes to English, are scared to articulate their own responses, and they feel like there's this perfect response out there. But that perfect response doesn't exist. It's just a matter of you kind of getting out of your comfort zone a little bit and going, you know what? My beliefs and my thoughts and my responses to this article is just as good as that A+ student who's in my class. And so if you just go for it, write down, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. So don't let that fear stop you. Okay? Some motivational tips for you. All right. So, let's go on. As incidents have multiplied, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority has introduced strict rules to regulate both commercial and recreational use of drones in order to protect privacy and safety. Okay, there's a lot to read here, so I think we'll just start analyzing it. So he's starting to make a point of difference between commercial and recreational use, which is essentially what this entire paragraph is about. They do a great job of rapidly escalating and competing the needs of users in our airspace. There's starting incongruity in the rules applying to commercial drone flyers and record. Okay, cool. So he's creating a comparison between commercial and recreational drone users. Remember how we talked about dichotomy last week? You could talk about dichotomy here. Otherwise, you could just say that it's a comparison. And it's very repetitive too. He's building momentum in what he's saying. He's going, commercial drone flyers can do this or are required to do this. Meanwhile, recreational drone users are not. So it's that idea, are not, that repetition. It's not quite are not here, but there's 3 differences between what commercial and what recreational drone users can do within the space of like 3 sentences. So he's really building this disparity, this difference of what's going on between commercial versus recreational drone users. And by establishing this dichotomy, by establishing this divide, it only serves to heighten just how different the rules are for both parties. And as a result, it feels unfair. Why is it that commercial drone flyers who are professionals have to go through all these laws and regulations, and yet people who are just tourists don't even, go through a proper license? All they have to do is watch a short video, so it kind of like undermines the amount that they need to do, and complete a test consisting of a few multiple choice questions on a website. So yeah, I'd say that it really adds to that idea of these people barely don't need to do anything. Oh, why is this not working anymore? There we go. No? Oh, okay. Oh. Sorry guys. Not sure what's going on. What did I do to my iPad? Okay, I think it might be a little bit frozen. I'm just gonna exit out and try again. Oh no. Oh no. Technical difficulties. Okay. Give me a moment, I'm gonna figure this out. But while I do that, write down your analyses in the chat section and then I'll have a look at it afterwards. Not sure what's going on. By the way, thank you for all of you for rocking up here today. Makes me so happy to know that you guys are benefiting from my analyses. Yay! Okay, it's working. Okay, so all I was saying is that, these people, all they have to do is watch a short video, and it's like all they have to do. It's like very little, and complete a few multiple choice questions just on some random website. There's no way of even proving that the person completing the test is the person who'll be flying the drone. Oh, that's terrible. This makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel like these people can't be trusted. feel unsafe. Can't be trusted. It really devalues their credentials and their credibility. They just print the power generated certificate and head out to launch their new toy. And even just like using the word toy, it cements that idea that for them, this is just for fun. This isn't something serious that could damage my farm's trees, my farm's crops, could get somebody hurt on my farm. It's all just a game for them. And again, that makes me feel like it's quite unfair. Kanisha says, thank you, Lisa, for all your support. You're amazing. Keep going. Thank you so much. I'm really glad. Okay. Now we're just in our final parts. And don't forget, if you stick until the very end, I have something special to offer you guys. So why this difference? Why is such a large group of people who have no training allowed to fly drones? Why? So a lot of rhetorical questions, a lot of questions of why. And in the previous live stream, somebody asked, oh, aren't rhetorical questions like super obvious? Yeah, they are super obvious. I mean, it's one of the most obvious ones that you can see just because it's literally in front of your face. You know, it's not like before when we were talking about personification where you kind of like have to make the connection. With this, you literally just look for question marks and it's likely to be a rhetorical question. So how you can circumvent being basic, because none of us want to be basic now, do we, is try to be more specific in your analysis. I have developed the strategy called simplicity and specificity. And essentially, these are the two things you need to nail when it comes to doing a language analysis. Specificity is making sure that you analyze a rhetorical question in a way that's very specific to this article. So, you know, all of those language technique lists that you can get, it will list down like rhetorical question, inclusive language, emotive language, etc. And then it will tell you like how you can analyze them. I used to just copy those and I was like, oh, you know, like, can I just do that and just get an A+? Like essentially they're just giving me the answers. But that wasn't enough. It's because the analysis provided on those lists are not specific enough. So in this case, if you're talking about rhetorical questions, you need to be bringing it back to Warwick and basically his aim here. So how I'd say it is something along the lines of, Warwick repetitively asks the rhetorical questions, Warwick repetitively, excuse me, I didn't think about this. Warwick repetitively asks the rhetorical questions starting with why to create a strong sense of disparity between commercial drone flyers versus recreational drone flyers, to establish the unfairness that exists in the current system, in the current legal system, something like that. I would definitely refine it as I would write it down, but that's kind of like a starting point. So always just bring it back to the argument and what the author is trying to establish, as opposed to something super generic like Warwick asks the rhetorical question so that readers think about it. Think about what? Be specific. If you want to learn about specificity and simplicity, it's also in my study guide. So you know where to go. because it's jam-packed of value. Okay. I have no problem with the recreational use of drones, but I think that everyone flying a drone should complete the same rigorous licensing process. Anything less is not fair, not safe. Okay, so finally, he's kind of laying out his overall contention. Sometimes you have people who state it at the very beginning. Sometimes you'll have people who state it throughout. Others will stay at the end. Others will never really state it at all, and you kind of have to figure it out. But in this case, we've kind of been blessed with the contention. Of course, if you're writing up the contention in an essay, you don't want just to regurgitate what's been written there. You want to say it in your own words. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have a look at your comments. Chelsea says, do we have to pay to view the study guides? Yes, you do. They're only $25. So the How to Write a Killer Language Analysis is only $25. But it's packed full of A+ examples, annotations of the A+ essays, so you actually understand like what's going through the writer's mind. So kind of like what I'm showing you here, like I'm actually talking you through it and helping you understand why and how I come to certain analyses. Whereas if you just saw me write up an essay and just give it to you, yeah, you'd have an A+ essay in your hands, but you wouldn't necessarily understand the mindset that goes on behind it and the development of ideas. So, you know, I try to really pack my guides full of heaps of value every single year. We're always adding more to it, but we don't charge more. So the earlier you buy it, the more you're going to get out of it, essentially, because it's not like hard copy books where they kind of pump out new editions every single year and you're forced to buy new content. It's just the one price and you have it for until you've finished school. So yeah, William says the study guide is worth it. Thank you so much. I think it's worth it too. And yeah, like, look, honestly, if you have any issues and you don't think it's worth it, we've got a money back guarantee. So yeah, if you're not happy with it, you can just let us know and we'll give you your money back within 30 days. But you can have a look at the reviews and see how glowing the testimonials are, which is super sweet. Ruby says, will you be doing another live stream where you compile your annotations to build an essay? No, because that's what's in my guide. So afterwards, I'm going to be adding all the annotations into the guide plus the A+ essay so that you can see how it all comes together. William says he recently got 37 out of 40 on your argument analysis. Congratulations, that's freaking awesome. Good on you. That is very, very cool. Okay, let's just finalize this last bit. So as a community, we must consider the needs of the farmers as well as the tourists. It's time for the council to ban drone flying for non-licensed users. Yeah, this pretty much adds into the contention as well, hey. I wouldn't say there's too much there for you to analyze in terms of language techniques, but, you know, he really brings everyone together in this final statement. Whenever I come to a conclusion, I like to think about, okay, what's being said here? And I think about how that argument has developed over the course of the article. And it's interesting that he says, as a community, you know, we're all in this together. We must consider this. So he's really trying to rile everyone up as a collective and show that it's a collective responsibility. We all have to do this together. Nobody is, you know, able to escape the responsibility. We need to do something and get the council to make a change because we live in this council and so we're the people who can make this change. Thank you. That's it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Ruby says it's a call to action. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. This was actually a relatively straightforward article, I'd say. If you're somebody who feels like you need more help in language analysis, by the way, I mean, I know doing these live streams for you guys is super helpful for you, but sometimes it's helpful to have somebody just like be with you one-on-one as well. So if you guys are looking for tutoring, at Lisa Study Guides, we do offer tutoring services. I'll show you really quickly. This is what we offer. We've got amazing tutors on our team, and we've got people who want to help you, and we've had rave reviews from students. So if you're somebody who's curious about getting started in tutoring, you just want to have a chat about it and see what's possible for you, boost up your mark for your next SAC, this is a form that you can fill in just to give us a few details about you. And then my amazing assistant and customer and tutor happiness manager, Simone, she'll get in contact with you and just start a conversation. You don't have to commit to anything. Sometimes I think it's a lot of people are usually unsure as to whether or not they want to start tutoring, and who's the right person for them, what does it entail. So yeah, we're happy to just have a chat with you and see if we're a good fit for you. Oh, and I'll also show you, so in my Write Labs, which is where I host our study guides. Oh, what's happening here? I'll show you quickly the how to write a killer language analysis is what I've been talking about. And I've got the VCAA 2020 English sample essay. So you can see I've already embedded last week's live stream. I'll also add this live stream, but afterwards I'll also add the annotations, and this is the essay that comes afterwards. I won't show you too much, but yeah, you can find it here. Otherwise, there's the simplicity and specificity rule. There's the T rule in action. There's practice sample articles for you. Things I deem that are important for you to know, including how to identify author's contention, audience, etc. And then heaps of sample essays, including more VCAA past sample essays. So yeah. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, so on the exam, how long should we spend annotating the articles? Kanisha asks that. I did mention before, but in the exam itself, I spent... Are you talking about SACs or exams? SACs I answered earlier, but if we're talking about exams, I spent most of my reading time on reading the article, and then I probably spent max 5 minutes annotating. But by that stage, by the way, I had practiced so much that I was super comfortable with annotating and analyzing and just getting straight into it. So yeah, just making myself a little bit bigger since I'm talking to you guys. Do you recommend doing plans? Yeah, 100% I recommend doing plans. I'm a big advocate for plans. Again, talking about the think and execute, if you can plan, you are thinking ahead, you're creating that roadmap for yourself so that when you go driving down it, it's a lot more straightforward and clear. If you don't write your plan, you can go off on a tangent real quick, and then you don't even realize until you actually finish your essay and you go, holy crap, I didn't actually cover what I wanted to cover. Having a plan just kind of is like you going overseas, let's say, and creating a little itinerary for yourself and going, yep, this is what I want to do. And you know that if you're able to do those things, you're going to be pretty happy as a result. But if you kind of go and you don't really have a plan, then who knows what's going to happen. And I feel like that maybe is not the best metaphor, because when you're overseas and, sometimes things are just serendipitous. But when it comes to an exam, you want to be a bit more pre-planned. Ruby says the website looks so good. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we work really hard to get our branding right. It's very important. Whoops. Oh no, sorry guys. Getting illustrations, making sure that everything looks good for you guys. I think it's important. Aesthetics are important. We live in an aesthetic world. Annie says, you know, the last line in the article, does it kind of get rid of that disparity by bringing the community together? Oh, really good point. Not the disparity between commercial and recreational drones specifically, but definitely that feeling of division. There's this feeling of we're all in this together, even if, you know, there are people who have supported recreational drone users in the past. Us as farmers and as a local council, we're all in it together. I hope that makes sense. Ruby says, I'm in Sydney doing the HSC next year. Do you think tutoring would be beneficial? Oh, of course. If you haven't even started HSC and you're already thinking about tutoring and getting started early, I 100% would vouch for that. I personally started tutoring in English when I was in year 10. I definitely jumped to a few different tutors. My tutor in year 12 made the biggest difference in my life. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for having tutors. That's why, you know, I became a tutor myself and why we offer it at Least Study Guys. Okay, I will answer a couple more questions and then we'll call it a day on this live stream on YouTube. But I am actually live streaming on TikTok as well. So I'll be talking to more of the TikTok people down there who, hey guys. So if you have TikTok, come join me. I'm Lisa Tran. And we're just gonna have more of a fun time over there. Have a more casual conversation, I think. Kanisha says, is it likely to get 3 pieces on an exam? So if you don't know, in the SAC, you can get 3 pieces, but in the exam, in my personal opinion, and you know, I'm not VCAA, so I don't know, but I think it's much trickier for them to give you 3 pieces because you've only got so much time on your hands and giving you 3 pieces is just cruel. Unless they're 3 very short pieces and they can fit into 2 pages. I've noticed that in past VCAA exams, you know, they've got background information on 1 page and then maximum of 2 pages for the article. They don't usually have more than that. So even if they did give you 3 articles, it'd probably be 3 articles that could only fit on 2 pages worth of space. So yeah, just like something that I've kind of had a hunch about for the longest time. Whoa, William says that he used to average C+ in year 11 and now you're getting bloody A's. Good on you. That's fantastic. Somebody asked, is the study guide in a video format or textual? It is both. So because it's an online guide, you can have both text, both videos for you to use, which I think is an amazing amalgamation of different formats through tech. You know, can't get that in a hard copy study guide. Oh God, why is it so hard to pronounce names and things? You explain English techniques so well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm glad. Okay, it's probably my last question that I'm going to answer. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the thing that I wanted to tell you about. Oh dear. Okay, so if you do plan on joining us for tutoring, if you quote this live stream, so just let us know that you'd watched the VCAA 2020 live stream, then we will throw in the how to write a killer language analysis study guide for free. So that's just like a quick kind of bonus I'm offering for you guys because I want to thank you for joining me here. So yeah, if you're keen to start tutoring, just quote this video and we'll get you hooked up. Okay. Comparative language analysis is done in year 12. Yes, to Tasneem. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna jump over to TikTok now just to have a little bit of fun, but I hope this was helpful for you. And yeah, just let me know what more you guys want and I'll see if I can deliver. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys really soon. Make sure you're on my mailing list because that's where I send out emails about what's happening, at least the study guides every single week. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the day and weekend. I'm going to enjoy my bubble tea and I'm having some friends come over for some Thai. So yeah. All right, guys. All the